Hey everybody, good morning. Uh, Welcome to Bluebeard's Bride, where we're going to go crazy again. So I'm going to give it to Kiana.
Hello, everybody, and good morning to Volume 2 of Bluebeard's Bride. I am very excited to be here with this lovely cast as we delve in once more into the tale of feminine horror as presented by Magpie Games. Um, as many of you know, the way that this game goes is very dark and deep and in very many ways ritualistic. Which kind of fits into the way that streams work and the fact that we have basically a routine every single time we do this. So let's go around and meet our cast today. So this is guys, introduce who you are, who you're playing, and pronouns for yourself. So let's start off with I always like brain. Let's start off with Lauren. Hello.
Knew you were gonna do that. Hi, everybody. I have a voice somewhere. I'm Lauren. I'm That Salty Ginger over on Twitter. She, her pronouns. And today I am very excited to be playing the witch.
Awesome, awesome. And let's move over to Mindy.
Hi, I'm awake. My name's Lindy, and I'm like a bride or something, and I'm playing the fatale part of that. It's gonna be thick. I'm gonna learn as I go.
Well, that's the point of this, is to help people learn the game and just
Yes.
sort of dive in as always. And then we'll move over to Allie. Hello.
Good morning, everyone. It's Allison. I am playing the Virgin, of course, and also learning. So super excited, though. I've wanted to play this for so long. So thrilled to be able to be here.
And of course, last but not least, Katie.
I'm Katie. I'm going to be playing the mother this time, so I'm very excited to take that role on.
Fun. And of course, I am your groundskeeper. I represent everything that is not the bride. I represent everything that is the house, that is whatever exists and lurks within. Without further ado, let's get to know, before we get into Bluebeard's Bride, let's get to know the story of Bluebeard. Once upon a time there lived a lord whose palace was so splendid and so richly furnished that even the sultans could not be compared with it. He had dishes of gold and silver, sofas and chairs upholstered in the finest silk. The walls were adorned with every kind of curious antique. There was, however, something very odd about this lord. The color of his beard was a rich and shocking blue. His countenance was both distinct and unmistakable, and so he was never spoken of by his real title, which was grand and noble, but instead he was simply referred to as Bluebeard. He was a fearsome man with deep-set eyes, and he was known for having an uneven temper. Even so, Bluebeard had been married many times. No one quite knew what had become each of his wives, in turn, as there had never been a funeral at the palace that anyone living could remember. They simply vanished, and when time passed, he would marry anew. One day, Bluebeard went hunting in the countryside near his estate. With the sun high, he came upon a dilapidated farmstead and wished to slake his thirst and rest. The farmers were eager to please the powerful lord and sent their lovely young daughter scurrying to serve him tea and bread. Bluebeard was instantly smitten with her beauty. He decided right then that he would take her as his wife. For a week he entertained her among a cadre of other fine lords and ladies. No expense was spared, his wealth was dazzling in the way a cobra dazzles a mouse. After that single hedonistic week, Bluebeard came to call with a marriage proposal. Bluebeard scared the young woman, but she couldn't let her family languish in poverty. And besides, maybe his beard wasn't quite that blue. She accepted his proposal. In short order, they were married at the palace, and such a sight it was. 1,000 white lilies decorated the pagoda for the ceremony. Delightful incense burned throughout the night. The young bride awoke the next morning in her bed alone, her marriage yet unconsummated. Caused her some amount of anxiety, yet also relief, as her husband has been called away for business in a neighboring duchy and will be gone for a few weeks, leaving the bride alone with just a single ring of keys to explore her new home, although she is told to never enter the one room where this one little key goes to. That one alone is forbidden to her. And so before we dive in for today, because today is not about Bluebeard, today is about the bride and what she will discover in her new home. I would like to remind everybody that although we dive into deep and dark subjects here, the door is always open. If you ever need to leave for your own safety, whether that is you in the audience or you, my players, please do so. There are safety tools on the table, X cards, N cards, and O cards. Those are for your use at any given point, and I will always be watching for those, whatever you need them to be used for. And so let's get in and let's meet our bride today. Our players here all represent a different aspect of the bride. They kind of encapsulate a part of her psyche, as well as perhaps describe parts of how she looks. And so let's see how does she look. And we are going to start with the mother. Mother, what is the bride's figure like?
I think her figure is sort of that classic kind of milkmaid type of figure. She's sort of plump in the hips and like the breast area, but she has a smaller waist. It's like she has the childbearing hips that you would call them. And she's really petite. She's very short.
And what do others wish was different about it?
I think that there are certain, it's like coming into style to be sort of thinner and stuff, and she notices that people wish that she didn't have such, round hips and a sort of an hourglass shape, that she was more thin.
And let's go over to the Fatal. Fatal, what does the bride's mouth look like?
Well, like the rest of her, it's fairly plump lips. She's typically got a smile on her face, but it's it's almost like the 1920s kind of lip, and it's not very wide. It's very kind of narrow in horizontal width, but it's got descriptions where they're very cute and plump, almost puckered.
And how do others keep her quiet?
Ooh, that's a good one. They probably just try to talk over her, try to be louder than she is.
And Virgin, what do the bride's eyes look like?
The bride's eyes look like the blue of a sword's leading edge as the sun glints off the blade. They pierce and they penetrate nearly painlessly, and yet they draw fountains from the heart when they are withdrawn.
And, well, how do others know you want them when they gaze into your eyes?
Most, when they look, see a well-practiced innocence. A few, though, see an eager and a playful hunger that hints at desires never spoken, fantasies unfulfilled. They see, more than anything else, an eagerness to please.
And which? What is the bride's hair like?
The bride's hair falls in waves all the way down to her hips. It is the red of the dawn, but there is a long silver streak of frizz that starts at the roots of the right side of her head and falls all the way back.
And how do others like you to wear it?
In a braided diadem, as if the braid was a crown upon her head, but tight, more like thorns.
Wonderful. And now that we understand what our bride looks like and perhaps how they relate to her relationships outside, we must understand a little bit more about her and who she was before she was married and who she is in relation to Bluebeard. So, Mother, what are you leaving behind from your provincial life to become Bluebeard's bride?
I'm leaving behind my siblings that I take care of for my sick mother. My little brother and little sister, who I know look up to me in a way as their caretaker. And I am unsure if I'll be able to. I know I won't be able to fill that role anymore once I'm married.
Fatal, what are you leaving behind?
Having a hard time clicking the mute button. I was like, wasn't working. What am I leaving behind? I think that she is leaving behind her best friend. And she's very close with her best friend. And it's a little lonely.
And Virgin, what are you leaving behind?
I'm leaving behind my parents, who are fearful of what kind of life might await me in a land that's torn by conflict and plagued by banditry. They had planned to commit me to a convent, to a life of chastity as one of the poor Clares. I'd like have died of tedium with such a life.
And which?
I leave behind my altar that I had cultivated over many years and kept hidden from my siblings, my best friend, my parents, for as long.
Wonderful. And when you first met Mother, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
He brought gifts for my siblings. A little toy, a little beautiful porcelain doll for my little sister, and some like jacks or some kind of game for my little brother, and played with both of them.
And Fatal, what loving gesture did Bluebeard make that won you over?
A custom tailored dress in a beautiful blush color, complete outfit, gloves, hairpiece, everything. She's never had anything exquisite. It's all in wonderful, like silk and organdy, and it's just very beautiful and very flattering to her figure.
Virgin?
When Bluebeard and I first met, he bowed, and he bowed lower and with greater grace than that which he offered to any of my sisters. I knew in that moment that I had his favor, and in my heart, I vowed to do what I must to keep it.
And which?
He gave me a beautifully bound book from the Far East on one of his travels, filled with all sorts of knowledge about plants I had never even seen or imagined.
And as is only courteous of a new bride, you gave him a gift. And Mother, what gift did you present to Bluebeard before the wedding, and why did you choose this?
I spent weeks knitting him a scarf made out of the finest material that I could get in town. And I gave it to him to have when the months get cold. So not only does he know that his wife is capable of taking care of him, but it will remind him of me, as maybe he'll think of my warm arms around him.
And Fatal, what gift did you give Bluebeard?
Originally, it was just an ordinary deck of cards. However, I took a paintbrush and pencil and drew them up a little fancier, a little nicer, kind of made the faces of the king and queen, myself and Bluebeard. So that way, when he was traveling, if he was with other, whether it be by ship or by caravan, when he was entertaining himself for the night with his companions, he would think of me.
And Virgin?
I gave to him my promise ring, which was placed on my finger by my father on my coming of age birthday. By it, my father swore me to purity until I should be wed. And I was so excited to be rid of it, that lock barring the gates of womanhood to me.
And which?
I baked the wedding pie made of ginger and apples from our garden to symbolize power and wealth, success and knowledge.
And now that we know what gifts were given upon this wedding, and now we understand our bride a little more, Mother, do you trust your generous husband Bluebeard, or do you hold unkind suspicions, and why?
I trust my new husband because I know how important marriage is and how marrying someone wealthy would take care of not only me but my family. So I trust him to do so. I trust everything that he's told me.
And Fatal, do you trust your generous husband?
Oh yeah, I trust. It's not so much as I trust him as I trust my womanly abilities to keep him in line. So I don't really fret when he goes away because I know he's going to come back.
And Virgin?
Trust my husband? Of course, I trust him implicitly. It would never occur to me not to trust him. And after all, how could someone so wealthy be anything less than kind and loving?
And which?
I hold unkind suspicions toward my husband because If I had the power that he did, I would not give it away so freely.
Wonderful. And now that we understand our bride, we must understand our sisters, because as all families are, sisters are related to each other, but they may bicker, they may fight, and they may have closer ties with other sisters than perhaps the rest. And so, Mother, let us look at your bonds. You know best and try to guide your wayward sisters, but who irritates you with their obstinance? And explain a time they undermined your authority.
I think the Virgin irritates me with her obstinance. I think that she is getting like very sure of herself as she's coming of age and such. And one time, not that she was ever unpure or anything, but I think that she liked to lead some of the boys in town on, have them sort of chasing her kisses and such. And I told her not to do that, even, and she continued to do it. And I just wanted to protect our reputation.
And while this one sister irritates you with their obstinance, you trust another to have your back. And explain a time they supported you in a time of need.
I trust the Fatal to have my back, because whereas the Virgin doesn't know how to use her wiles, the Fatal does. And Allie is so offended. And the Fatal, one time, I think we were able to, and this isn't even just one time, it happens all the time. The Fatal has been able to help us out by getting procuring like deals for things in town. We've never paid full price for anything in town because the Fatal just smiles and everyone is just wooed by her.
Wonderful. And speaking of the Fatal, your sisters are who they are. Boring and predictable. But one of them has no idea of a woman's true power. And explain why you wish to teach her.
Let me tell you about that Virgin, though. she's just so naive and just innocent and cute and sweet. But don't worry, I got this. I think I'm gonna show through example how I'm gonna teach her. But she needs to know so she doesn't get hurt.
And as you wish to teach this one sister, you try to draw another in with your seductive aura and explain how you hide your insecurities from her.
Let me tell you about that witch, though. Whew, she's so mysterious, and I just want to understand it. Real nice. But part of the mysterium is how she always knows these things, and so how I kind of hide my insecurities from her is I just play them off, just play them real down low, like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Distraction, basically. Well, how she gets this discounts and sales at the places is what, and then redirect.
Wonderful. And Virgin, you trust your sisters for the most part, but one of them blackens your innocence with her every word. Explain how she became your enemy.
The mother. She treats me like a child. She would make every decision for me if I allowed it. Well, I won't.
And while this one sister is your enemy, another often helps you play tricks on the others and explain a time when she was your ally in mischief.
The witch has been with me in some of the most delicious moments. But there was this one time at the fall festival, there was a dance, and one of my enemies is too strong a word, but one of the other girls had caught the eye of a young man that really should have been giving his attention to me. The witch and I got together and discussed what might befall him. And as he entered the hall and was announced, he took one step and tumbled down the entire length of steps. I think he broke something. Perhaps it was simply a coincidence, or perhaps the witch's power is more real than I'd imagined.
Ooh, I love it. And witch, your sisters are not nearly as important as power, but one of them is a useful tool. Explain how they helped your pursuit of blasphemous craft.
The Virgin. She's like a little candlelight that all the moths come to, and then they don't see me waiting behind her.
Wonderful. And while one of them is a tool, another draws an evil to her. And explain what you've done to keep that evil at bay.
The mother draws an evil to her. In her desire to be a mother, anything that would come of such a union would undermine us, and therefore I think it is evil. So as she pursues that route, I do what I can, whether it's eating certain herbs or just saying something that will drive off what she wants to prevent her.
All right. And now we understand not just the bride, but her sisters, or the sisters within herself, the parts of her psyche and her being that must work together, but sometimes conflict. And sometimes one of these sisters will be at the forefront, will be the guiding force, the one with the ring. And so I will roll as to which sister will start with a ring, as in the one who is in the most control of the bride at this point. The ring can be passed on to another sister at a given point, but essentially the ring grants, the ring moves to whichever sister is in control of it. So 4. All right, so which you have the ring. And so therefore you have the keys. And as you wander down the dark halls of Bluebeard's home, your home, and as you find yourselves among the cold stone that is offset by candlelight and velvet, what key do you find?
The key is long, but not delicate. It's made of iron. The color is slate gray, but there is a ribbon attaching it to the ring. Ribbon of scarlet and silver. It's old, one of the oldest on the ring chain.
Okay. Hmm. So as you seek out the room that this key belongs to, and you feel it pull towards you, it beckons you in down the hall. And as you enter, the door shuts behind you. Do, 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 do. Okay. You enter into what seems to be the perhaps a servant's quarters, a room where the servants rest when they are not busy working within the castle, being the unseen eyes and hands that move things around. And you see a series of beds that are all quite sparse. A reminder of the types of beds that you would have at home that you and your family would lie in. And you see that most of this room is, although clean, is kept in a lesser state than most of the rooms that you've been in here so far. Um, yeah, and you realize that this must be the chambermaid's quarters. And even inside, although it's sparse, it reeks of incense and perfume. And you see scattered across, although it's clean, things of bedclothes that are the remnants of a hurried dressing, ribbons, stockings, pots of coal, and other makeup and such. And above each bed, you see as an ivory plaque of the virginal figure of the church. One hand on exposed heart and the other reaching to heaven. And while most of them are intact, the closest one is missing a hand. And painted on the wall under is a chart of the moon's phases. So, any sister can enact upon the maiden moves. These are the moves that are just simply things like, I would like to look at an object, or I would like to care for somebody that may be in here, or I'd like to take stock of the situation, look around and see. So any of your sisters at any given point can do this as long as it's within the constraint of, well, you are embodying the same body. And then sister with the ring, you may enact upon the ring moves or the exit moves.
Mm-hmm. The witch stops in the threshold of the room and says to her sisters, who all have professed trust for this man, well, you'd think that such a powerful man would have more control over the discipline of his servants. This room's a mess.
It just looks like they were in a hurry to start work this morning. We can't fault them for that.
Can't we?
Let me in charge. I'm sure our room would be, a bit more of a mess too. So.
Perhaps he's simply too powerful to care about such things.
She's She's right. A man with that much power shouldn't have to bother himself taking care of servants' quarters, and if anything, that should be our job. We are the lady of the house now.
Yes, that's true.
The witch walks toward the beds, kind of running her finger over the boards. The chart of the moon phases, is that over the same bed as the statue with the broken hand?
Yes.
I'd like to investigate the moon chart.
Okay. And as you do this, you may ask me questions. You may pick two of the following questions. Whose item is this? What memories does this item hold? What about this item is odd or uncanny? And why did Bluebeard keep this item?
Whose item is this?
This item belongs to one of the chambermaids, one of the, again, many servants that scurry through the hallways of this grand castle. Although, as you look at it, this moon chart has been lovingly painted with astronomical knowledge that no simple chambermaid should know. This is somebody who understands the power that would exist in it. This is somebody who understands the great expanse of the night sky and what powers can be drawn from it.
The witch traces the different moons with her finger. What about this item is odd or uncanny?
As you circle your fingers across the paint, as you realize that this has been painted directly on the walls, this is not on the canvas elsewhere. This is somebody defacing the wall itself. You brush your hand, and as you start to kind of pull your hand away from it, brushing, you look and pigment upon your fingers. The white paint starts to kind of turn to a crimson upon your touch.
The witch just continues to trace all of the moon phases out.
And by the time you finish, all of your fingers are stained red, almost the same color of that ribbon.
Does it look like it was being used like as a sort of a calendar to track something, or was it just sort of in a study of the moon phases?
This, as a woman that must pay attention to the moon and her many cycles, that this is certainly a calendar.
Huh. I get down on my knees and I look under her bed.
Okay. So you look down under one of these several beds, and you see below, again, discarded clothing and such. But you also find a series of small dolls, simply made, more of a cloth and whatever scraps of fabric that is able to be sewn together in the same way that the ones that you would make for your sisters back home. And as you pull them, each of them have a beautiful red ribbon tied around the neck and a neat little bow. And there are about 5 of them underneath here.
The witch kind of picks at the tight braid around her head. Something about this is flaring up jealousy in her, that this chambermaid still has her personal effects, and they are similar to things that she had made, poppets, phases of the moon.
And as you feel this jealousy rise, would any of the other sisters like to investigate or take stock or otherwise look around the room? You are all sisters after all, sharing one bride.
I think as we feel this jealousy rise, the mother just tries to contain it and just says, don't be jealous of someone who doesn't have as much as you have now. We're blessed.
We don't have it.
We have so much more, though. We don't need
But
things from our own life.
we don't have it. It's not ours, it's his.
It's ours together. This is our husband. We share everything now. And I think the mother goes to look at the statue with especially the missing hand. And I'd like to investigate it.
All right.
What memories does this item hold?
Ooh. This item holds memories of whoever this belongs to, of them kneeling, of her kneeling at this virgin's feet, looking up at her, praying for something like a miracle of the moon cycles matching up to fulfill not only power through the moon itself, but also power through having a child, of fulfilling a duty.
You feel sort of this like emptiness inside, this just sort of pang of loneliness as the mother reaches out to touch where the statue's broken, like touch the jagged edge. And why did Bluebeard keep this item?
This as you look upon the virgin's smiling face, again, one hand on her exposed heart and the other that it's supposed to be reaching out to the heavens. This is a reminder of what all wives should do at some point, which is to be pious and to do what all wives should do, to carry on the family name and to take care of whatever child is born of a union like this. Although You know that you never consummated your marriage. Not yet.
The Virgin is bored.
Yeah. Virgin, this is certainly similar to that of the nearby convent. This is imagery that has been seen over and over again.
The witch snaps up the statue. I think it's small, right? It's on like a shelf above. Snatches it up and holds it kind of toward the Virgin and starts imitating their mother's voice and all the prayers and pious sayings that she would force upon us.
The Virgin rolls her eyes and tries not to show how disturbing this is to her. Why are we still here?
This girl seems interesting.
Perhaps.
Interesting people are hard to come by. Is there a bell in the like maybe outside in the hall that would call a servant?
You do notice there is a bell that is within this room. Although you imagine this is more where that bell
Right.
goes to. And as you're holding on to this broken Virgin statue, you're kind of, taunting it, and as you look back at it just to place it back to where it belongs, the carved smile on its face has turned into a smirk.
Did any of you see that?
See what?
It changed.
What do you mean changed? Are you playing one of your little tricks again, sister?
No, it changed.
You're incredibly perceptive. Please do go on. How did it change?
It smiled more like I do than like you do.
Oh.
I'd like to take stock.
Yeah.
Uh,
As you take stock, you may ask me one of the following questions. What stalks the bride from the shadows? What traps have been laid for the bride? What does this place demand of the bride? And what horror here is hidden from the bride?
what horror here is hidden from the bride?
Oh, okay. So as you examine the statue once more, as if to ask questions of it, to seek answers, and as you you now look down upon your eyes kind of trail down to where the broken hand lies upon the little sill that this statue sat upon. And you see this hand start to kind of, although it's marble, just kind of twitch a bit as if to start crawling towards you.
I wipe the red stain from my hand onto the white of the statue and drop it onto the ground.
Okay. So as you smear the red upon it and drop it, it doesn't shatter as it hits the floor. It simply just rolls to a stop. And the hand continues forth towards you.
All right, that's a shiver from fear from me.
All right. As you shiver with fear, name the thing you are most afraid of will happen. And then I will tell you how it's worse.
I'm afraid that that hand is going to crawl up my body and into my mouth. Actually, that's what I'm afraid will happen.
Okay. So this hand is not here to silence you, but it is here to beckon you into something else, to perhaps not silence you physically or choke you physically, but to entreat you to whatever ritual or rites it was involved in, and to make you lose yourself that way. And now you can keep the ring and choose two of the following options, or you may pass the ring on and choose one. It infects the bride with its perversion. It has the bride in its clutches right now, or it speaks to you and you take one trauma. Just you.
I will pass the ring to the virgin and choose it infects the bride with its perversion.
All of you feel, as the ring is passed to you, virgin, that the bride is infected with its perversion. The hand starts to approach, and although it starts to climb towards you, it's not climbing on top of your dress towards your neck. No, it starts to climb underneath your dress and up your leg. I feel like that's a shivers from fear already. Like,
I think all of us did. We all need to. Oh.
No, I'm good. Let's see how this goes.
As we feel this happen, you immediately feel embarrassment and shame, as it is she feels the marble on her leg, and immediately I think she sits down to try to remove, to get it off, and she's just, what have you brought about to us, to the witch, because she's confused and she doesn't like what is happening. What have you welcomed into our life now?
I didn't welcome anything.
so again, any of you may take a maiden move, or virgin, as you now have the ring. You may make any form of ring move or exit move.
I cry out for help.
Okay. As you cry out for help, I need you to roll plus resilience.
Okay. You do that right?
well, 5 plus 3 plus 1 is a 9.
Okay. Yes.
And so, with a 9, a servant will come to address your concerns. And as you cry out for help, the door opens and a chambermaid enters. She is quite young. She seems perhaps just only on the brink of adulthood, wearing a starched white apron that is already kind of wrinkled across the corners. And you see her hand is that red that comes from hard work and perhaps being plunged into hot water for too long to scrub. And with the pale freckles that across her face and a tidy bun, she enters. My lady, are you all right? And she'll come over, as if to sit down next to you.
I'm not sitting. I'm writhing in panic and I'm screaming. One of your toys has plagued me. Get it off of me.
Yes, get it off of me.
And I'm lifting my skirts to show her where. Get it off of me.
So you lift your many layers of skirts to try to reveal the hand. And the chambermaid will kind of lean down, look. I'm very sorry, my lady. I don't see anything. It's just perhaps it may have been a spider.
The witch starts laughing, cackling, if you will.
Don't egg her on. Just stay calm in this situation. We're the ones who are in control here. Remember that.
Yes. Have a little, maybe a little authority. Just, play it cool.
The Virgin is not cool. It's no spider. It's the hand from. And I look. Is it? Can I see it?
As you look down upon your now bared leg, you look and there is nothing there. And this chambermaid is just kind of who's wringing her hand a bit. And, my lady, if I may, what were you doing poking around the chambermaid's quarters? That she kind of looks at like the fact that you may have been looking around. There's still a bit of red upon the red pigment upon your fingers, and as you have rolled a 7 to 9, you are going to need to reassure this servant of your loyalty to Bluebeard.
We can go wherever we want, sister.
Though I think the witch perhaps might be playing a trick on you, as she does. She is right. We don't need permission to be here. This is our house.
I stand quickly and brush my skirts down with my hands. And as I do, some of that red pigment smears down the front of my skirt that I don't notice. And although the servant girl is not much younger than I am, I straighten myself up That's none of your concern. This is the Master's house, and I am the Master's bride. Off with you.
And she will kind of just, again, look around the room and then back at you, as if to kind of judge, perhaps how you look or how you carry yourself. And she just kind of inclines her head. Yes, of course, my lady. And
Wait.
Yep.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem terribly convinced. Just throwing that out. Or at least not reassured. Convinced, maybe. Reassured, I'm not buying it.
You look tired.
She now kind of glances at you with this quite large tone shift. I mean, yes, I have been working hard as I am expected to, my lady.
Your hands are red.
She kind of looks and as she's wringing them, and she kind of shoves them into her apron pocket. Well, it's certainly what happens with work like I do.
Perhaps you should take a moment. I'd love to know more about you.
Yes, let's go.
Okay. Would you like to care for someone?
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to use my face move.
Okay.
My thought is that this is the girl. Not that I definitely know that, but I don't particularly like her presence in my house. And what she wants. Don't like that either.
And as you speak these sugar-sweet words of comfort to this chambermaid, you watch as she kind of starts to reply, starts to as you watch her face turn, her complexion turn this sickly green as she holds her apron up to her mouth and coughs, and as you pull away, you see blood start to kind of drip down onto the white. And as she doubles over coughing, you see her collapse.
Oh dear.
You've done it again, sister.
Done what? I knew she looked exhausted.
And why did you choose her?
I didn't choose anybody. I was asking if she wanted to rest. I'm not in control of our body right now.
You just feel like a very familiar disappointment from the mother, just like sort of rush through your body.
as I watch the servant girl collapse and I see the blood and I look down and see the red smear on my own skirts. It's almost as if I can feel that tiny hand again on my thigh, and I shiver from fear.
Oh, right. And as you shiver from fear, you may, well, tell me the one thing you're most afraid of will happen.
I am most afraid that my new husband will know that this was my doing.
I'd say we cleaned the stain out of the dress, but the chambermaid's kind of dead, and she's the one laundry. So,
So, although you are afraid your new husband will find out about this, he is far and away to, the servants are to believe, to be returning in 2, maybe 3 weeks. What you should be more concerned about is the household, because you can be no good bride if her house doesn't trust her. And with one of their own dead and incriminating, maybe perhaps not evidence, but what can be construed as evidence now within this room. That going to Bluebeard's ears, that perhaps it's not just your hand in this, but everything that you have ever done to let this befall's house will fall upon his ears. You may keep the ring and choose 2, or pass the ring and choose 1.
I will pass the ring to the mother, and I choose that it speaks to me.
You mark 1 trauma, and as you pass the ring on, and you think perhaps you may feel that same crawling, lingering sensation of a tiny hand underneath your skirts. Something whispers a scream in your ears. A chant, perhaps, or a word of power.
As
You will take.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yep, you'll take 1 trauma. And remember, sisters, if you mark up to 5, you shatter.
As the scream happens, you just feel the mother steel herself, and she says, No, this is... I know you don't understand the world yet, Virgin, but this is not your fault. This is the witch's doing, and she's the one who should be punished. And I'm going to use my face move, and Virgin will not mark trauma. The witch will instead, and I will as well.
And you feel it redirect away this harm.
This is the witch's doing once more, getting us in trouble that we can't escape. And speaking of, I'm going to try to escape.
Are you just going to escape the room?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think I looked down at the chambermaid, seeing her body there, lifeless. There's nothing left for us in here. And yeah, I'm going to try to escape.
Okay, so to leave a room, you must either escape or propose a truth about the room itself. If you wish to escape, I must offer you a hard bargain or an ugly choice. If you pay that price, you escape. Hmm. While there is nothing that is going to prevent you from leaving, no reaching hands or horrors that will try to hold you tight in their clutches, the mark of what you've done has started to seep into the bottom of your dress. The blood on the floor now staining it into a dark crimson red. And if you wish to look even on this semblance of innocence, you are going to have to remove this dress and take on a servant's dress.
Yeah, I think she does. You see her look at the bottom of her dress and the blood and sort of feel the disappointment and disgust from her other sisters that she's dirtying herself with this kind of blood. And she quickly takes her dress off and rifles through the other clothes and finds a chambermaid's outfit.
Yes, we have all the power here.
I just really liked this dress. I'm a bit upset that we couldn't have changed first, or
Well, if someone didn't make such rash decisions, this wouldn't have happened.
I didn't do anything.
we'll just have to reassure the rest of the household even more that everything's fine and we're completely wonderful, trustworthy people.
Of course. I'm sure the servants will have a very strong trust in us now.
Not right now.
The Virgin is eager to have this bloody dress off of her.
Yeah. So as the bride strips down, shoving this dress off as the dress now fully pools into the blood that seeps out of this chambermaid and throwing on this new itchier yet comfier dress, this dress that reminds you a little more of home. You step out of the room. And Mother, you now have the ring. Please describe to me the key.
I think this key is very intricate looking. I think that it has a handle made of jade and ruby and obsidian. It's just all these different materials sort of molded together in beautiful filigree in this handle. And the actual material of the key part, the teeth of the key, I think it's not as nice of a material. It's probably like a very what's the word I'm like, a very soft kind of steel. It's flaking off. The material is flaking off in her hands as she touches it, and she notices that like the teeth of it are very jagged. They're not probably a regular type of key. It's not a regular kind of teeth in a key.
Okay. So as you exit out of the room that you were in, you were not in the same hallway as you were before. And instead you are facing in front of a door that is elaborate red color with gems set into it. And as the key slides in and unlocks it, you enter in. And it is dark in this room. As the door shuts behind, leaving you with no visible source of light.
I think the mother begins to reach behind her to feel where the doors close and to feel along the wall. And just stop her breathing for just a moment to listen in. And can I take stock?
Yes, you may. You may ask me some questions.
What horror here is hidden from the bride?
You. Many things hide in the dark. It is why we are scared of it. It is where things lurk that may be watching, that may be hunting, that may just simply be there. An idle threat. Within this darkness, as your eyes start to readjust to the lack of light and your eyes perhaps squint, you now have to focus on your other senses, and you hear the sound of a dress rustling. And as you do, a bright light falls upon you. And your eyes have to blink away the sudden light as you stand upon what seems to be a stage. There are red velvet curtains that are draped off to the side, tied with gold braided cord. Behind you is a backdrop that's painted in the most wondrous of blues, of an ocean and a sky. As your eyes again readjust to the lighting, you see seats filled with figures that you can't quite see. As the light kind of shines more directly in your eyes. And next to you is a woman, and she is dressed in a fine dress, and she wears encrusted jewels upon her neck and her arms and upon her head, and they glitter and gleam in this bright spotlight that is now upon you. And she moves with that same kind of shift of fabric across the stage as she approaches and extends a hand out to perhaps dance.
The mother feels a bit unsure in this moment, but she looks so beautiful in that dress, and the mother even feels a little bit of jealousy. Just, she had to lose her finery, and she's now in this chambermaid's outfit, and so she feels a little bit of jealousy, and she takes the gloved hand.
I like this room.
That's what you're jealous of.
It's not my fault we had to lose something so nice.
Boo-hoo.
Maybe I just like nice things. And I think she steps closer to the figure. Is there any music, or is it just silent in here?
As you take her gloved hand, music starts to strike up. Strings play a waltz. And as this woman takes your hand, she pulls you as if she was the man of this duo. Her even her gloves have these encrusted jewels upon them, and as they press into your hand and your back, it's just on the edge of discomfort.
I want this dress. I should be wearing this dress, not this.
Me, it's uniform. Yes. Ugh.
And as you're guided in this dance around the stage in circles, you can see everyone's eyes upon you from the audience. And although you can't see their faces, you can feel their gaze. You can feel their judgment.
Oh.
As
Like this.
You are outshone in every single way by this other woman who you see had a veil across her face. You can't quite see her face.
I feel very vulnerable right now. I don't like it. I would like to take stock of this room, as I'm feeling very judged and vulnerable, and I don't like it.
Okay, you may ask me a question from that list.
What does this place demand of the bride?
So, a theater, a place where anyone can watch and enjoy an entertainment. And although you are not an entertainer in the traditional sense, my bride, you are
Entertainment.
an entertainer in every aspect of your life. You must keep your husband entertained. You must keep their guests entertained. You must provide, if you are not to provide physical labor or a child, you're to provide just entertainment to prove that you are worth keeping around. And at this point where you are right now, you are not good enough for that. You are not the right grace. You are not of the right makeup or dress or finery. You do not deserve this. You must make yourself deserve this. And you see upon the side of the stage a table set with jewels and other finery that glitter. And you know that you cannot just wear it. You must put it, you must more internally embed it upon yourself. If you are not to show your background, your country upbringing, you must dazzle them.
So look, I know I'm not in control right now. However, I feel like we deserve this. We should take it.
No, I agree.
And embody it. This is who we are now. We should embrace it fully to the team.
Do you still think we're in charge here, Mother?
I think that we can earn our place of power more than we already have. And she's going to break away from the figure and go over to the table and just run her fingers over the jewels. Just touch each one gently. And can I investigate an object?
Yes. As you approach, the figure will follow with the same dancer's grace, not in a out of stalking, but just simply following, as if continuing your dance. And you stand in front of the mirror where this table is placed and the jewels, and you may ask me 2 questions as you investigate.
What about this is odd or uncanny?
Okay. As you look at these gems, they're larger than you have ever seen before, cut in so many precise, tiny, impossibly small facets. And as they glitter and they dazzle, you swear you see as you kind of sift your hands through them, something feels not sharp and hard, but almost soft and wet. Is that a shiver from fear, Katie?
that was a okay. What can this be?
It's like when you're sticking your hands in a bowl of like wet spaghetti. You're like,
Ugh.
yeah.
And as you kind of your fingers kind of enclose upon it, you pluck it out. And about the size of many of these rubies and diamonds and emeralds, there is a bright blue eye.
It's hers.
As long as it's not ours.
I think I want to know whose. I want to know whose item this is. If the witch is right, yeah. I think she. I hold the eye very softly, and I turn to look at the figure there, and like and focus on the veil covering her face.
As you turn to look at her, she places 2 hands upon your shoulders and just turns you back towards the mirror. And her head kind of, pokes up on the sides, almost as a mother and a daughter. And as that kind of shift, the light just strikes her through the veil in the right way, and you see that same kind of jewel encrusted, the way that it was on her dress and her gloves, upon her neck and upon her head. They are embedded upon her skin as well, and within her eyes, just glittering sapphires where they used to be. And as she smiles, they also shine with the same faceted glitter of crystals.
Yeah, that's a shiver from fear.
Cool. Where's Tia here?
I'm gonna pass the ring to the Fatal and let her take over. And
what are you most afraid of, Mother?
Yeah, I totally forgot. That I don't want to become her. I'm afraid that whatever jealousy and greed that I'm feeling right now is what befell her, and I don't want that to happen to me.
Even if you don't want it to happen to you, the room has felt it. The people who have watched, who know that the only reason a woman of your stature would ever be married to Bluebeard is because she is seeking riches. She is seeking power. Then, even if you don't want it, they're going to make you.
Yeah.
So you pass the ring on to the Fatal, and
I mean, I think it makes sense that it has me in its clutches right now because it's holding onto my shoulders. Yeah.
Yeah, and you feel as her hand is placed where it used to be gentle, like a mother over the shoulders of a daughter. You see that the gloves, which have in fake inset nails and those kind of crystals as well, start to grow and start to dig in to the shoulders of the bride. And as it starts to pierce in and blood starts to stain the shoulders of this, all of you will mark 1 trauma. And I believe, Fatal, you are muted.
Like again with the blood. This is the second outfit today. Like, it's only been an hour. Can we stop with the?
Ow.
Perhaps we have to suffer through pain in order to overcome.
Well, I think we need to become the brightest shining star in the room. We are to entertain. One way is to go about it like she did, to build herself up. Another way to do it is to tear everyone else down so that they're lower than you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to, as she's digging these nails in, I'm going to pull off her gloves.
Okay.
Like, you don't deserve these. I'm Bluebeard's bride. No one in this house should be finer than I, except for Bluebeard himself.
Yes, sister.
I think this is a dirty yourself with violence.
Sure.
So you're going to roll plus carnality.
Oh, good. I'm not like the best at that, but I'm better than some. So, oh, it's not very good.
Ooh, okay. As you attempt to kind of reach up and, try to grab the gloves off of her, you are able, you start to kind of pull, but the gloves aren't coming off as if they are attached to her. And as you kind of rake her down, the crystalline nails will start to rake down as well, and will start to tear off this dress as you stand upon the stage.
I liked this dress
in
anyway.
front of an audience, and you are soon bare for anyone to see, for all the eyes to watch. And you are going to take another trauma.
Sure. All right. So, how is she looking? That's my next question.
You look into the mirror and you see yourself.
Oh, just me?
Naked, and you see her just there. Veil still in place. Everything still impeccable.
You hear the mother's voice in your head, Fatal. Maybe you should remove her veil and make her face the crowd too.
That's what I was thinking. So it appears that like her dress and her gloves are attached to her. Oh, that's...
Perhaps you could convince her to lend them to us. You are very beguiling.
I will turn, because I'm not ashamed of my body. I just feel underdressed. It's all right. I haven't blossomed into a beautiful peacock yet. And so I'm going to turn confidently towards this woman. And I am going to use my face card. And I'm going to basically, with my confidence of having none of this finery, I'm going to walk over to her and say, thank you for helping me remove that awful thing that I was wearing previously. It was awful. I believe what you're wearing, though, might suit me quite nicely. If you could please remove it and hand it over, I'm sure that it'll make it worth your while. Maybe it'll give you a little bit of confidence, too. And I would like to use the spider to get what I want. Tell me a secret.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I have the thing. Yep. Okay. Ooh. Okay. A secret. Hmm.
And I basically like stand between her and the mirror so that she's forced to either look at me in the audience or the mirror itself.
All right. As you use your feminine beauty and
Body
charm
language.
to talk to this woman, this, as you now realize, perhaps a former bride. A secret about the House of Bluebeard
Mm-hmm.
is Bluebeard, these gems as you look. Some of these gems are certainly real, they are flawless. And some are of a perhaps fake or substitute the of crystals that don't that may mimic them but will never live up
Does she
quite
have
to.
real crystals or fake ones?
She has a combination, but her two eyes, the sapphires that lie within them, are just colored glass.
Perhaps our husband isn't all that he makes out to be.
Or maybe she wasn't worthy of the true, real type of jewels.
Then why does she have any?
Maybe she tried to greedily grab at them like we did.
Maybe age has muddied your thoughts.
Perhaps, but at least my reputation isn't.
Fatal, you are still technically in charge.
Yeah. I'm looking for the right thing. Investigate. Can I investigate two objects? Because I haven't done that yet.
What object would you like to investigate?
I'd like to investigate her. I'd like to pull the veil back and look into the fake glass eyes and see what memories these items hold.
These items, these jewels, you don't believe they used to be crafted to be independent. These were jewels that were inset into something else. As you look, they are quite small compared to some of the other jewels, and they're cut in the way that rings are inset with. And as you look, these contain the memory of a promise ring.
And I would like to just look this bride, whatever this person is. I'm starting to question if she's even a person. And I'd like to know, why did Bluebeard keep this item?
Bluebeard doesn't really have control over which horrors haunt his house. But here, this stage is clearly finely kept. And this place is clearly well stocked. This is a place of entertainment. This is a place to show how lovely his bride is. and showcase for all the world to see.
Nothing more than a peacock.
Just like we'll be if we trust him.
And this former bride will step forward once more, again placing a gloved hand upon your arm, and almost as if tracing down your figure that is now bared to the world and to the audience.
I'm going to just to assert my dominance in this situation. I'm gonna ask her to dance and show that you don't need all of these fake finery. As nice as it is, we are to be entertaining, and that should be more from the inside, from skill and ability, than from just looks alone. I've reevaluated my opinion of this woman now that I've seen how fake it all is, and I am going to be the lead in this dance rather than the follow, and make it a mockery of what she once was in her lead, the dance prior.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna.
Is that like caressal horror or?
I feel like that's more comfort
Mm,
because you're not redirecting
yeah.
a harm. So, yeah, comfort somebody. So, as you start to take her hand and pull her into a dance across the stage. She moves as if unsure of herself, not used to this.
Mm-hmm.
She is the one who leads the dance, and now she is being taken along. She is in control of, it's in somebody else's control. And as you lead her across, the veil now brushed off to the side as you had it looked into her face, and her mouth opens as the gleaming diamond teeth as she just whispers in a voice that feels like it had not been used in a very long time, because who needs to talk when you can just stand and look pretty?
Mm-hmm.
And she whispers, I can make you prettier, you know? Your curves are not quite the season anymore. A corset, perhaps? A dress to hide?
Where's the shudder of offended? Like, I need that.
It's not a shiver from fear, it's just a fence. Shiver from a fence.
Just like, you could make me prettier, but then I'd be no better than you.
Says, do you not want to be better for your husband? Do you not wish to be pleasing to his eyes?
I do, but I don't think he would have married me if he found me unpleasing.
And what would the court say? But a bride that doesn't match in season. And at this part, you guys have swung around so that you are in full view again of the audience. And you feel their eyes, almost although you are naked, undressing you further, as if imagining each bit and part of you and its different fragments and how they could just tuck it in a little, carve away a little, projecting their insecurities and parts they don't like about themselves upon you, and you can feel that weight.
I'm cold, sisters.
Yes. We've been in this state much too long. This isn't proper for someone of our standing, of a wife, to be. And you definitely feel the shame coming through the mother.
And the virgin.
The witch feels fine.
Is this bejeweled woman, is she wearing a corset herself?
It seems like she might be. There's quite a few layers to this dress that she wears.
Is it like one of the I'm not exactly sure of the era, but like the costumes that have like the lace in the back of the dress, that if you pull it, it begins to just unravel, as she is not complete. She is bejeweled and encrusted, and she seems so fragile, even if she is so beautiful. Beautiful things usually are fragile. When I go for a dip, because this has gone on too long, I would like to try to just unravel.
Okay.
On the string.
Dirty yourself with violence.
Yeah. Let's go for it. That's carnality?
Yes, that is.
Okay. Because So I see there's 3, so I need to make sure which one is which.
Okay. So with an 8, you may choose. So you inflict trauma, and you may choose to disable, silence, or mutilate her.
Disable, silence, or mutilate. Well, she was already silenced initially. Disabling her, I feel like mutilation would be the most disabling for her, and so I will just unravel her beauty.
And as you rolled a 7 to 9, you must also choose whether your vulnerability opens you up to trauma or your carelessness leaves you in a bad spot.
I have a feeling that it might be the carelessness leaves you in a bad spot right now. We are naked on a stage.
So as you reach behind and you just tug the lace, the corset comes apart, and although you expect, an expansion from a release of a corset, flesh filling out to their normal curves, as you remove, you watch as the woman starts to deflate from the core, as if to collapse in upon herself, as if the corset was the only thing holding her up. And you see her just start to turn into nothing more than cloth and gems in your arm. But as you turn back to the audience, your eyes turning away from them, from this woman, this bride, see that the audience is standing not in applause.
Oops.
Not in their seats, See them right up at the edge of the stage. And you are trapped, as there's nothing but the backdrop behind you and the audience in front of you, watching, judging, and perhaps about to take matters into their own hands.
Well, I think it's time to pass this ring on to someone else. I was going to say, the Virgin might be a good one to play it up innocent, but it's also a bit overwhelming of an incident. So I'm gonna give it to that one I admire. And I just want to, maybe she was impressed by my performance. We're gonna pass it over to the witch.
Witch?
Great. Yes. So still uncovered
We have a lot
and
of fabric now, at least.
yes, holding the kind of silk in her hands, the witch walks toward the audience, toward the edge of the stage, and kneels down toward them, still not really being able to make out their faces. And using the silk of the fabric, she'll reach out and passing over as many as she can reach, run her hand along their cheeks and through their hair and turning their heads, entrancing them in a way that's different from the bejeweled woman, but no less ritualistic.
This is a good decision.
Are you caressing your horror, my
I
friend?
am.
All right, sister. You may roll plus blood.
Great. 9.
On a 7 to 9, it will shift its attention. Okay. So as you caress your hand across their cheek to try to redirect their judgment away, another way towards you, you feel their hands kind of start to grab onto you, not in a violent way, but in a caressing, inviting way to join them in whatever revelry.
She absolutely goes along with it. She's got them where she wants them. And the touch
And-
feels good, even if the virgin squirms.
And she does squirm.
This is all practical experience. Don't worry.
And
You just hear the mother, like, I hope you have a plan, sister.
And as the bride slips into the crowd of many hands and eyes, as they encircle her with gentle, many-handed caresses, we are going to take a quick break. And we'll turn back in 5 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be back
Yep.
in 5 to 10 minutes, guys. Enjoy. And we're back from that little short break, and I'll turn it back over to Kiana.
And last we left our bride and our sisters, they had been entrapped in a theater where they were faced with a woman of jewels and finery, who was trying to encourage the bride to be a little more perfect and be a little more pretty for her husband. And upon disposing of the bride by this former bride, by unraveling her finery, unraveling everything that she was, just an empty husk, the audience had, perhaps unhappy by the pause in the show, had approached the stage, and the witch had managed to caress them, and they bring her in to their folds, their many hands, all caressing her along her cheek and every bit of bare skin that is now revealed. In which you are the one with the ring, although the rest of you may do as you please, whether that is to investigate or to comfort or to take stock.
I believe that I'm ready to propose a truth about the room and
Okay.
exit.
And what truth is that?
That our dear husband, not being so fine as he thinks or as he likes others to think, felt it necessary to turn one of his former brides into this object and put her on display. This room is still in his house. If he were a kind man, I think he would have put her out of her misery. I think that he had a hand in this because it would be nigh impossible for someone to do this to themselves.
What do you take as a token of your disloyalty?
I take the dress she wore and I put it on.
What used to hold a bride now is only just fabric and fake glass jewels. And you may exit the room, passing through the many hands as they help put this dress upon you, as they start to tie up that corset for you. And you step back out into the hallway. And just to take stock, how are our sisters doing in terms of their trauma?
3 of 5.
3 of 5.
Oh, such a good girl.
What a good little girl.
I can give up the ring at any time, right, Kiana?
Yes, you
I want to
may.
give someone else a chance to describe a room.
Okay.
So I'll pass it to the virgin.
And you are now immune from harm, I believe, for until the ring is passed on once more. So, virgin, as you are now back in the cold corridor, although not quite as cold as standing upon a stage, as you now have a fine dress upon you. what does the key look like?
I straighten my shoulders a bit, having a bit of a hard time breathing in the corset. I'm not familiar really with one, but I'm fine. I'm much better now, in fact. And as I flip through the keys on the ring, one in particular strikes my fancy. It's bronze and burnished. And what stands out to me is that at the head of the key, there is a stone set into it. It's a deep green, like tourmaline. But as I run my fingers across it, it feels soft, like soap almost. And uh, and there's a warmth to it, and whether that's because it has been on my person for this whole time, or whether it comes from the stone itself, I'm not sure.
Okay. Interesting. As you walk down the corridor to find the matching door that fits this key. Okay. You okay. You find this one door. It is this lush green color, bright, as if to match the stone that is in your hands. And as you insert the key, it will unlock, and you fit yourself through the open door and into the entrance. As the door closes behind you, and you are within a tea room. You see that is wallpapered with that same kind of lush green color and prints of a forest and a field. There's large plush couches and that same green that sit around a small, low coffee table upon which there is a steaming pot of fine porcelain. You can see that this may have been freshly brewed. You see set out, there are 2 teacups, both of which seem to be currently empty. um, and there are cabinets that are filled with even more of the same porcelain in different colors and floral patterns, and some with foxes and rabbits, and some with other damask, fine filigree patternings upon it. And this room is quite small. You feel as if you are out of just a slight wrong movement, just a slight shift in the wrong direction, and things would come crashing down upon you. Yeah, this teapot. You do see it's this kind of gleaming gold gilt lid to it, as well as the teacup that are set out.
I smile because I know that I look good in this room. I know that these deep greens contrast with that flaming red hair. I have a sense of place in that way, that this is a place where I can feel comfortable. And so I sit on one of the couches, and I would like to investigate the teapot.
Okay. And yes, this room is much warmer than the theater. And you can even feel it as you start to kind of place your hands upon this teapot to examine it. And you may ask me 2 questions.
Whose item is this?
This item, as you pick it up to examine its many paintings upon it, these particular ones have butterflies in it. And she, whoever this belonged to, this is somebody who enjoyed the innocence of these images, as you can tell from across the room, the same portrayed images of a vast open field and the wildlife that exists within it. And this warmth kind of permeates into your hand. And as you, this is somebody who enjoyed their tea. This is something that has gone through the rituals of creating it, as if to reassure themselves. The same way that when something terrible or traumatic happens, you return to a routine to ground yourself upon it. And this belongs to somebody who has done this enough to make you feel that.
And what memories does this teapot hold?
As you look upon this teapot and the 2 teacups, this is the memories of somebody who would make the tea again in that ritualistic routine, that grounding moment, and also to serve it out to others. You can tell that this holds the memory of serving not just for herself, whoever this bride was, but also to a guest, whether that guest was. But as you look upon the table and the cup, whatever the cup was farther away from you, see that there are slight stains of tea on the saucer on the table, as if done with a unsteady hand.
The witch looks at her sisters, particularly the mother, and says, "See, everywhere we go, we are subservient."
It's not subservient to serve tea to guests. It's manners. It's just decency. Things you think are subservient are just things our mother taught us to do.
Didn't we marry Bluebeard to get away from that kind of life?
I married Bluebeard to have a companion, someone to love and to love me. Why did you
Do
marry
you feel
him?
his love in this house?
Maybe
But he's
not
not
yet.
home.
He left so soon.
So sudden.
If you're going to walk around, sister, be careful. Our hips don't bump anything.
They definitely don't lie.
As all of this conversation is taking place, the Virgin is soaking in the warmth of the pot. She was so cold in her nakedness. But this feels right and proper. And I fill the cup that is in front of me with tea and set the pot down and hold the cup in both of my hands and smell the steam that rises off of it.
And so you pour this tea out into the cup and smell this. It's quite. At first, it tastes sweet. It tastes as if, just the right amount, but there's this kind of bitterness that lingers beneath. And as you kind of open your eyes once more, you see that the teapot is still running its dark fluid out of its spout and onto the table, starting to pool upon the floor.
Be careful, sister. We shouldn't dirty another dress.
Really, really shouldn't.
I'm a little tea, short and stout.
You know what else is very warm and comforting, Virgin? Nice embrace. Preferably our husband's embrace. But that's it. Kisses and hugs. All sorts of wonderful, warm touches. Those are really nice. They're just about as good as a cup of tea. Nice, warm, comforting cup of tea.
Here's my handle. Here's my spout.
I see the tea spilling all over the table, and I, without even really thinking about it, I reach out to try to stop it with my hand. I just put my hand over the spout. I'm not even thinking of how hot it might be.
Yeah, as you start to put your hand over it, and you feel it start to run over your hands, it is hot. And as it does, the liquid not only runs over, but seems to form onto your hands as your hand grasp onto yours. made of this hot tea.
When I get all steamed up, hear you shout.
It kind of looked like a shiver from fear. That's your call.
I initially it's shocking, but it feels like a hand taking mine.
It feels like a warm hand taking yours.
I fight off the shudder and take and I squeeze back. I'm going to caress.
You're gonna caress a horror.
Warm embrace.
I am.
Okay.
Isn't that what you were talking about, Fatal?
Something very similar.
Roll a plus blood.
Okay.
Okay. So where this hand may have been trying to forcefully touch you, to guide you with strength, you feel it as you kind of squeeze back. It almost seems to hesitate. And as this happens, from the hand to the arm, up to the shoulder and the torso, and up to the head, a woman starts to appear from pooling from this liquid. And she is warm to the touch. And
I didn't think this lesson would come so quickly, but
yeah, she places the one hand that is free, that is not holding onto yours, will take and brush just a very gentle touch across your cheek, as of a lover's touch. And this woman just says, "It seems you don't need to relax anymore. Not like I did."
As her fingers touch me, I almost unconsciously close my eyes and lean into them a bit. Who are you?
I was like you. Except less relaxed. He always said I needed to relax.
Relax.
And as you kind of lean into her touch, This woman will kind of, again, that same hand just start to kind of trace down your cheek into your neck, and then down towards your breast.
I'd like to take stock at this point.
Sure. What?
Enjoying it. Very proud of our little version right now.
Okay. How would you like to take stock? You may ask me one question.
What traps have been laid for the bride?
As the virgin leans into this touch, you see the corners of this velvet warm couch start to fold in, as if to take the bride into a closer, more intimate embrace.
I'm still enraptured by this touch. I've longed to be touched like this for so long, and our husband is so far away, sister.
Sister, remember who you are. Remember your place and your loyalty to our husband. Whatever this is, this isn't real. You know better than this.
It's a trick, sister. It's a trick. Open your eyes.
You're so nice.
As the witch declares it, I open my eyes and see the velvet arms of the couch beginning to wrap around me, and I would like to try to escape.
You just wish to escape, not propose a truce or anything? Okay. Hard bargain. You think this woman who you're so thoroughly enjoying the touch of won't let you go so easily. She placed her hand back close to your face, to your mouth, to take a part of her with you as her finger starts to part your lips.
So, wait, I can choose not to.
Yes, you can choose to stay.
Uh,
Or you can take my ugly choice.
no, I'm going to choose to stay. And I'm going to give up the ring.
And who do you pass the ring on to?
It's the real question here.
Yeah.
Like 3 different opinions.
Yeah, right, exactly. The witch knew what was happening. I'm going to pass the ring to the witch.
Great.
I would have just made out with the tea some more.
That's what I was afraid of.
We would have stayed here for the rest of the game.
Who says I'm not doing that? What I will do, though, is I think taking a similar cue from the dance earlier, and I don't mind. I don't mind hurting myself to do this. I will, to escape from the couch, at least, and being pinned, I will press my arms into the hot tea figure and kind of move with her and through her if I have to.
That's
Okay.
really-
Okay. Interesting.
Thank you.
I love it.
I'm totally willing to take trauma to do it too.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take some trauma to do that if you just wish to pass through and not.
Well, I'm trying to caress her, but I
Yeah,
know that
you
I'm gonna
can-
have to move through parts of her at least to get to a
Okay,
better
you
position.
may cross a
All
horror
parts.
then.
Okay. Oh my god.
I know how you feel.
Okay. As you attempt to redirect her in a way that she's no longer entrapping you or wishing to insert herself into you, as you attempt to pass through her, she holds you in with her arms. As you start to drown within her, you are going to take a trauma. As the bride starts to drown. And yet you feel just so relaxed.
You feel with that relaxation just the smallest ping of panic. Probably so far away you can barely even realize what it is, so far away in your mind. And you just, sister, we have to leave here. We can't trust this. You know better than this.
Do we though?
The witch can't respond, but she hears the mother. And as opposed to her usual disdain for her, she knows that she's right. And she is going to try and I'm going to dirty myself with violence and try to drink the tea enough to get air.
Okay. Okay. Roll for that, please.
Okay. Sure.
As you attempt to drink, this this woman, this former bride, takes the opportunity of the opening mouth to drink her in to do what she wanted. And you feel the liquid run down your throat, but it is not what you wanted. And you can hear in her voice, in Bluebeard's voice, just relax.
Yeah, the witch is just thrashing. She can't.
Drink it all in.
You can just hear the mother's voice in your head just going, fight it. You're stronger than this. You're stronger than whatever he brings against us, what anyone brings against us.
All right.
Fight it.
Okay. Then she's going to I need to. Oh, do I want to do it or do I not want to do it? Let's just see what happens. In fighting it, she's going to. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but she thinks that she's more powerful than whatever this creature is, and she is going to drink it all in. Yeah. So I don't know which that would be. She's trying to give into it and give it what it wants so that it will not see what she's doing. If that makes sense.
No, yeah, that makes sense. I don't think you need a roll for this as ready in the process. You just give yourself over to it. Again, you hear the duo of voices of this bride and Bluebeard, maybe. Just relax. Good girl. You drink it in. What would
Sisters,
you want to do?
I can't breathe.
She has a plan. Just trust her.
Kind of all right with it. Getting this like lightheaded thing.
The witch is just focused on if she can do this fast enough, she can breathe again. So she's just
Chuck.
Yeah.
just letting it in.
Just supporting the witch. She's got this.
Just
Embrace it. All of it. Swallow.
yeah, no, she's like touching her own throat and trying to control her body as much as she can to just let it be over.
I think you feel to probably like support from the mother. If you could feel, you're rubbing your own throat, but it's sort of warmth trying to assist you, trying to help this pass, because even though they have differences, the mother knows of the witch's power. She knows how powerful, and if anyone can do this, it's the witch.
And you were able to finally have air.
The witch is on the floor gasping, and there's this fury But it's not at whatever this creature was. It's at the Virgin. Stupid child.
You nearly got us killed.
If I could tear you out from our body, I would.
You can't.
I can when Bluebeard gets back.
As we are laying on the floor, reach a hand up to the sofa again and back into the middle of it. And I'd like to investigate it.
Okay. Yeah, you may ask me 2 questions.
Why did Bluebeard keep this item?
It is a very comfortable couch. Even as you stay in the middle, kind of perched in a way to be on the alert for whatever. I still feel soft and warm and inviting.
Mm-hmm.
As the plush underneath is soft.
The witch, sensing the Virgin's urge to touch, pulls her hand back, since she's in control of the body.
Think your next choice is through, Virgin. You've already gotten us into enough trouble. Remember what our mother taught us about curiosity.
Virgin deflates and collapses inside of us.
You disgust me.
Now, sister, I think she's learned her lesson.
Is there something else you wanted to know?
You hear her quietly sobbing in the back of our mind.
Can I pass the ring at any time?
Yeah. If you just wish to give it up, you may.
I will give up the ring to the Fatale.
Okay.
I think we've had enough fun in this room. So,
All right. So if you would like to exit, you may propose a truth about this room, as in what you think happened in here, to who and to why, and to take a token to prove that. Or you can simply escape, upon which I will offer you a hard bargain or an ugly choice.
can I know what the bargain is before I decide if I propose a truth or a token of disloyalty?
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Okay.
And you can take, you propose a truth and then it's either you're faithful or
Okay.
So it's basically, this is either Bluebeard's fault or it's not.
I think the witch is gonna hate me. I'm gonna take the teapot
All right.
and I'm gonna take it as a token of faithfulness because this bride was awful high strung and obviously she just needed to chill. And so I think that him getting her this teapot and this tea, it's just him looking out for her well-being.
And you may take the teapot as a token of faithfulness. And you may exit the room.
I feel like our bride is very conflicted, and so we should have a.
Yes, and you may heal a trauma.
Well, that does that. Oh,
as
cool.
you do this. We are at 1 token of faithfulness and 1 token of disloyalty. Our bride here is at the precipice. And Fatal, describe the key for the next room.
Well, this key is a very small, simple wooden key with a heart carved into the end of it. Just like real small, real wooden. Not even stained, but sanded so that it's nice and smooth. Maybe like a nice oak key, something sturdy and steadfast and strong. But small, dainty, rounded heart at the end. Very simple.
Okay. Okay. So as you take this very simple key, and you will, as you enter into this next room, as it beckons to you, the door closes, and you find yourself. Oh, I know.
Cute, happy little wooden key with a heart. I wonder what this could lead to.
I wonder. You find yourself in a library. As you enter in, there is large shelves of books that stretch from below to above, stretching much higher than you expected this building to ever hold. There are ladders that reach upwards to help grasp these books. And there are, again, some sofas with large, low tables that hold other large, empty books. And these tomes are in the finest of dark reds and burgundies. This room is lit with candles, both that sit upon the table and mounted upon the wall to give this room a cozy intimacy.
Well, I think I'd like to investigate, recline on one of the lounges and investigate one of the books on the table. Maybe one that's already been opened and is laying out as if someone had been reading it previously.
Yes, and as you kind of look, you see there is a book with a glass dome over it as well on one of these.
Let's look at that one.
Okay. Cool. So you can investigate this object. Ask me 2 questions.
What memories does this item hold? It's a book. Books are filled with memories. I'd like to know what kind this one is.
Are you lifting up the the glass dome.
Is the book closed or open underneath?
It
the glass
is.
dome?
It is currently. It's currently open.
I'll think I'll just look through the glass dome first at it and see what page it's opened to, because obviously it's very specifically left there.
Okay.
In that fashion.
As you look, this seems to be, although written in fine handwriting and in the best of inks, it is a kind of this very dark red ink that scrawls across the page, detailing the thoughts of a woman who writing about. It seems like perhaps this is a journal or a diary, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This memories. Well, this is a direct placement of memories of this woman who, as you read a little bit, seemed very worried over her appearance
Mm.
and her growing obsession with being the perfect woman.
Interesting. Maybe we've already met this individual. What about this item is odd or uncanny?
Okay. As you examine it more, there's something about the binding and the pages that don't look like any parchment that you've ever seen. You're going to have to remove it to take a better look.
Okay. Well, I don't want to get in trouble with any of my other sisters. I've kind of been just the enabler to a certain point, so I'm going to pass the ring on to the mother and let her see if she wants to continue investigating in this library.
Thank you for that.
Welcome.
I think
I'm like,
I think I do take the dome off. But I don't touch the parchment. I don't touch it with my own hands. I want to like lean down and look at it and take the edge of my dress and use that to lightly lift, look through the pages. I'm not touching it with my own fingers.
Okay.
And I think,
oh,
go ahead. Sorry.
No. As you start to take the edge of your dress to flip through, again, perhaps it's vellum that this is written on, not parchment, but animal. And as you flip it through, it's obscenely soft. You can even tell just from the way that it folds upon itself. Is this is acting more like tanned skin.
Does it say anything out of the ordinary? Like you said, it was just an account of someone's life.
Yeah. So as you continue to flip through, it continues. This thoughts and memories of this woman who wants to be a perfect woman. She dismisses Bluebeard as not understanding.
that's a mistake right there.
Not understanding her struggles. As telling her that she should just relax, that she doesn't need to be perfect like this.
It seems that he was trying to reassure her, maybe? And she's very confused as she's reading through this, you know.
Well, that would sound like a good husband.
I sense your doubt, Sister White.
Really? I thought I was being subtle.
What troubles you from this woman's own account?
She seems obsessed.
If he had simply married a mad woman once, why would he not tell us? Especially if her artifacts are strewn about the house.
Well, everyone has skeletons in their closet they don't want to talk about or bring up.
But aren't we his wife?
Maybe some lessons must be learned ourselves the hard way.
Just to not fall into her previous faults.
Mother, let me touch it.
No!
But can't you tell how soft it is?
What do you think you'll gain from touching this? Have you not learned your lesson?
Mother, let me touch it.
Don't listen to her.
I want to touch it.
And I want you to shut your mouth.
Both of you, stop. This is unseemly. We know better than this. I think, the mother just gently runs just the tip of her fingers down the page to feel it.
Can I take stock of the room? I feel like this book
Yes,
is
you
the
may take
is a
stock.
distraction from what really is going on here. So I would like to ask, what stalks the bride from the shadows?
Ooh, that's a good
I
question.
feel like this book is so obvious with the dome over it that like it can't be the real threat here. What is actually tall library?
As the mother's fingers, at the bride's fingers, just very lightly touch this soft leather in the book. You take note, Fatal, of a former bride sitting on the steps of the ladder.
Oh, we're not alone here. And I'll like point about.
I think the bride just pulls her hand away. Like she was caught doing something she shouldn't have been doing, you know?
You did touch it?
I did touch it, yeah.
May I make a face move?
Yes.
Yes. So,
Allie!
The moth is the face
Yes.
move I'm making here.
Ooh. Fascinating. Okay. So, as you touch it, placing yourself in danger, I get to ask you a question. Off the list provided, which I need to find somewhere.
Is it off the...
I think it's off the investigate list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
But instead of it being your truth,
Okay.
the virgin makes what the answer is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
That's fascinating. Okay. So as you touch this book, Why did Bluebeard keep this item?
He kept it because it reminds him of the bride whose story it tells and of which it itself is made.
Okay. Is that the only one you would like to ask me?
No,
Or that you
I'll
would-
take a trauma and
Okay.
answer a second question.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just repeat a question. What about this item is odd or uncanny?
Um, it as the dome was lifted off of it and as our hand touched it, a scent, a fragrance arose from it. And we are reminded of a perfume that we once encountered on passing a very a woman of great wealth in the street one day. But also behind it, there is a musky fragrance that is that perhaps the fatale would know more than any other. A woman's own fragrance that only she and her lover would ever know.
All right. Okay.
As the mother smells this and turns quickly to look at the bride, the other person in the room, she feels like caught, like she was doing something wrong, which is, the mother usually doesn't feel that way. And she just looks a little ashamed. I'm sorry, is this your book?
And this woman who's dressed in a red dress that matches the warm colors of this room stretches herself up, still sitting on the ladder, and as she kind of like takes a hand to the side as to lean forward, almost like a gargoyle, to further examine you, and you see her eyes kind of rake up and down. And she says, "Do you like it? My book?"
It's heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking?
Did you not realize you didn't have to be an image of perfection for someone to love you?
Don't understand. It's not about someone loving me. It's about achieving the highest potential that one has. And she looks at you and your tea-stained dress that is
It's for the stress.
Covered in jewels that in this light seem to only highlight those that do not have the true brilliance behind them.
This fine silks and jewels, and it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't put you at a higher standard than anyone else.
It's just, again, leaning as if a predator watching.
Why are you still here?
I have many more thoughts to write down, but all these books are full. I need more pages.
Yeah, I think the mother takes a step back. I think your story's over. I think it's been done for a very long time now.
No, sister, I think her story will continue with us when we're done. I think it's all the same story.
Do you truly think our husband would let us end up in some fate like this, haunting these halls?
What have we done that makes us any different than any of the other women we've seen?
Am I wrong for trying to believe otherwise?
Not wrong. Just naive.
Mystic. I like optimism.
Optimism will likely get us killed.
She's right.
I think the mother turns back to the book and, with all the strength that she has, rips a page of it out, and I'm going to propose a truth, and that's going to be my token of disloyalty. And
Okay.
she just looks at the woman. She watches the woman as she's ripping the page. I won't let my story turn out like yours.
And before she can leap upon you to take you, you quickly exit out. And with your tokens in hand, you are in front of the final door. Simplest one with the simplest key. One that all the instructions were is that you were not supposed to enter here. And so, with our disloyalty ending, let's go in here.
Has it ever occurred to any of you that maybe every bride that he's had thus far has been extremely disloyal and thus ended up in a horrible fate? Maybe if they were just
You
lovely.
should have said something. Sister.
It didn't occur to me until just now when I see all of you being incredibly disloyal. I thought we were better than that.
So, my sisters, my bride, you have enough tokens in hand to prove your husband's malicious intentions. Now you must choose whether you present your evidence to the town or run away and start anew.
I can't believe you all.
Run.
No one
Run.
No one will believe us. We have to run.
Fine, I suppose we could just seduce someone else elsewhere. It'd be fine. We'll just another husband. No one has to know we're married. We'll just take this off.
We'll leave and never come back.
And as the bride finds a door out, we now come to a close as we must see what happens to the bride after she leaves. I will propose some questions and all of you may answer. How does Bluebeard make the bride's family pay for her disloyalty?
If
He goes to our home and finds the hidden altar and accuses our family and us of witchcraft, which is punishable by death.
but not before he takes my little sister to be a chambermaid in his home.
You stole that. Yeah, yep. It's in my brain there.
It was going to be that or married, but she's a chambermaid for right now.
We know how long their life expectancy is.
And how does the bride convince someone else to marry her?
Well, we believe we use our feminine wiles. We never speak of Bluebeard and what happened there, but we learn. We've taken into consideration what we've learned and maybe thought about it and been like, well, maybe if we're very loyal and we pick someone who seems to be loyal in return, we can make it work out.
We cut our hair to change our appearance so nobody knows it's us when we meet them.
We start wearing rouge, whereas before we just had our pink lips. Now we put on makeup.
And we are still a virgin, after all.
Purity helps.
I'm not sure about purity, but
Yeah.
after what we've experienced.
And why does the bride keep the tokens she discovered?
Teapot makes really good tea. Excellent craftsmanship quality. In fact, it's the perfect piece of dowry since weren't really able to take anything else with us. To be like, oh, here, look at this exquisitely porcelain and gold inlaid teapot.
She makes a handkerchief out of the fabric from the dress that we kept with her initials monogrammed into it, so she always has it close.
She takes bits from each token and burns them to try and lay those brides to rest.
All right. And what memory of Bluebeard's house gives the bride pleasure when it shouldn't?
That caress on my cheek. I have never since felt a touch as tantalizing as that one. And even though I love my husband genuinely, when he touches me in the dark hours of the night, my mind still drifts to her.
The fear in that chambermaid's eyes as she choked on her tongue.
And finally, all of you, what loving gesture does Bluebeard make when he finds her?
He caresses her just like she felt from the tea. It's the same familiar warmth in his hands.
That caress leads into a dance. The Fatal
Right, into a
particularly
dance.
enjoyed.
And he takes our hand as we first stare in shock and then try to pull away, and presses a piece of sapphire colored glass first gently into the top of our hand, and then into it, and then through it.
And as the dance ends, he bows. But his bow is not quite as deep or as gracious as it was the day he won us over.
And as our bride is found once more, and perhaps loved once more, that is where Volume 2 comes to a close, as this story of our bride ends.
Holy moly. Wow.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Being lady is so fun.
Yeah.
Story.
It amazes me how completely me and Lauren played in the first one and completely different that was. Even the relationship between the sisters.
There's a lot of animosity.
Yeah, and it
I was
wasn't
the
like
only
that.
one who stayed loyal
I know.
the whole time.
Yeah.
I thought we were gonna end up going loyal and opening the door. That's what, and then you were like,
I didn't want to
Yeah.
open the door at all. It's like, let's be loyal, not open the door. Let's not be Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Let's just behave ourselves
Mhm.
and then see what happens.
Oh
No.
man. Wow, what a what a game, guys.
No kidding.
That was
No
good.
kidding.
If you want to go around and, say where you can find us, any kind of plugs, that kind of thing. We can start with Lindy.
Oh, hi, I'm Love Lindy. That was awesome. Can't wait to see how the next one plays out. And I'll have to go back because I wasn't able to and rewatch see how the first one went. 'Cause I want to see how all different they are. I loved our bride. I thought she looked awesome. She was pretty cool. Very conflicted. I sensed a lot of inner turmoil going on with her the entire time. But you can find me online at Love Lindy on Twitch and Twitter, where I play tons of tabletop RPGs, video games, other cool stuff. I have a very busy January coming up, but I'm gonna be. This is actually my last stream until January, because I'm gonna be driving down to Florida, spend some time there. So I'll be back about a week or two, and lots of fun, awesome, super stuff will be happening then. So stay tuned.
Lauren?
Yeah. That was fun. My girlfriend tried to get me killed.
She did.
Hi. Uh-huh. You owe me 30 luck. I'm Lauren. I'm that salty ginger over on Twitter. Yep. Damn. That was good. So upset. It was good though. You can, yeah. I play games around the internet with my friends. In 30 minutes, I'm gonna be over on the Scraticus Academy playing some kids on bikes. So that should be different than this. Also, what else do I have? I think the next thing is on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/grimjack21502. We're doing a special one-on-one episode of Project Athena. Please come help me with your love, please.
This might have given Greg way too many ideas for Sabella.
No,
I'm sorry.
It's gonna be sunshine and rainbows. I'm a very happy person, and I never play traumatized characters. Good day.
Allie, what about you?
I would like to state for the record that I was not trying to get my girlfriend killed. I literally have. I wasn't. I would never do that. I would never do that. I would never do that.
Okay.
This was so much fun. I just have heard the hype about this game for so long, and it was all of that and more. I was sort of aiming for when I decided the Virgin was what I wanted to play, I was sort of aiming for I don't know, like Lydia Bennett meets Amy March a little bit, right?
Infuriating? You were aiming for infuriating.
Yeah, because that's
basically.
Lydia, but it's perfect. Yeah.
Basically.
I think you infuriated the witch a couple of times. You did good.
Yeah. So, so super, super, super fun. You can find me on Twitter at Allison Robinson with 2 L's and Y. And I think this is it for me for the remainder of the year too, until we kick off with Project Athena again, rolling into the end of the story in our series finale in January. So watch us there. And again, Katie Kiana, thank you so much for doing all of this. And Lindy, Lauren, you know how much I love playing with you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Kiana?
I fall in love with this game more and more every time I get to play it. It's so good. And this was so wonderfully different from Volume 1. Like, holy shit. Just the different ways the sisters interact with each other and the rooms I got to create was all so fascinating, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yes, you can find me over on Twitter at KennaS. Best way to figure out what I'm doing, because I'm all over the internet playing role-playing games almost every day of the week. Holiday schedule is a little all over the place, but if you enjoyed this episode of Bluebeard's Bride, check out Volume 1 over on twitch.tv/offtheTable VOD, or come back for Volume 3 over on January 4th. You'll see some of these people returning, as well as some new people, including Emma from WebDM, so that'll be super exciting. And as well, applications for Volume 4 and 5 are still open. I have opened it up for anyone who would like to play. I have got an overwhelming response from it, so we're not going to get everybody who had applied into Volume 4 and 5, but I will definitely be keeping those people in mind for future volumes later in the year. But definitely check that out over on my Twitter if you would like to join in on a game like this and tell the story of a bride in her new home And again, a big thank you to Magpie Games, as well as the creators of Bluebeard Bride, Strix, and everybody else for creating this game. I used the core book as well as the Book of Rooms to help with this game. So go support them because they're amazing people. And this is definitely a game that I would recommend to play. Until next time, and we open up a new volume to a new bride in her home. Thank you very much.
It's just a gorgeous book, so you should just buy it.
Yeah, it's also a gorgeous book.
It's just gorgeous. I'm Katie. You can find me on Twitter at KatieFace. Like Kiana said, we'll be back on the 4th playing the last volume with our familiar faces. And I hope everyone has a great rest of the day, great holiday, Happy New Year, all that good stuff. We'll see you in the new year.